Hello, everyone. This slideshow PowerPoint presentation will discuss advocacy, brokering, and case management services. This is just a brief review of this week's readings and topic overview. Students are, as always, encouraged to do the full, read more in depth, fully about this topic area with their required readings in their required textbook. Advocacy. Social workers in the role of advocate fight for the rights of others and work to obtain needed resources by convincing others of the legitimate needs and rights of members of society. It is our ethical duty in our code of ethics, social work code of ethics, to advocate on behalf of clients. And again, some of this role is to make sure that we are working in support of clients to maintain their rights or make sure we educate them about their rights and support them in achieving their rights and exercising their rights. Advocacy can occur on the local, county, state, or national level. Some social workers are involved in international human rights and advocacy for those in need. Advocacy can occur at the micro, meso, and macro level, in short. It is important that we are aware that there are different methods that social workers engage in to advocate for clients. Even though advocacy is a broad concept, there are many ways in which to achieve this. Sometimes this is grassroots organizing. Sometimes that's setting up a family meeting or care planning meeting for a client. All these are the tools that social workers use to advocate, and there are many more. Social workers tend to focus on vulnerable populations who are oftentimes in most need for advocacy services. The goal is to achieve social justice and empower people. Also, in achieving these goals, social workers are being proactive and responsive and working with clients to be participatory in their advocacy needs. What are some of the skills that social workers need to be advocates? Or advocacy skills include good communication skills, ability to collaborate, the ability to present information. So presentation skills are key in advocacy. Also, learning how to maintain professional relationships are also important in advocacy. In this program, you will have many opportunities in which to present. Um, for this particular course, you had a community assessment presentation. Again, these are skills that we're trying to help you grow and develop as social workers. Now, presentations, as you know, can occur in many ways. They could be face to face. Sometimes there are webinars online, and so forth. But the key here is learning to develop skills that will help you be better social workers and particularly to be better able to advocate for clients you serve. Those client systems, clients can be individuals, it could be groups, it could be organizations, it could be communities and neighborhoods as well, can be your clients. And so think about the different skills that you need to improve upon to advocate. Presentation skills are huge because they help you learn to present yourself in a way where you're working on communication skills. You're also in presentations, particularly the one we did for this course, collaboration, because you have to now work with other people, such as community and key informants. And also, you hopefully learn how to use the relationships the professional and personal relationships you've developed over your time in the program or in your experiences to help you with your community assessment. And so, that particular assignment for this course helped you actually indirectly develop advocacy skills as well. Brokering. In this role, social worker is part of the process of making referrals to link family and persons to needed services. Social work professionals do not simply provide information, they also follow up to be sure needed resources are attained. Brokering is not just providing information to clients, it's also developing the network so that you have contacts for clients. You're constantly growing and learning how services or resources are changing, how they're improving. So it's an ongoing process of understanding what services are out there for clients and developing those relationships to stay cutting edge in terms of knowing what resources to offer. Some social work students find themselves in placements, social service agencies, and one of the tasks that sometimes they're charged with is enhancing, updating the resource list. That's part of the brokering role. But again, it's not just having information or resource folder. It's it's also the work of networking and developing those relationships with those resources so that they're readily available for client referrals and support. Also, any changes in any services or referrals provided, you need to know if there's any changes to those programs. Brokerage requires knowing resources, eligibility requirement, fees, and the location of services. Again, staying cutting edge in your knowledge of the services that you are providing and the referrals that you're offering to clients, and follow up as well. Again, brokering skills, verbal and written communication, building connections, exploring, analytical skills, decision making skills, negotiation skills. Again, community assessment paper, community assessment presentation, helped you with these skills of brokering as well. Again, how do you present yourself verbally and written in written form? You had other options with the community assessment. You also had um, videos. You also had pictures. So different ways to communicate a phenomenon or communicate an assessment was also part of the skills for that. Building connections. Think about all the different community organizations that you witnessed. Think about the people you met. Think about the informants. Think about the different type of resources that you identify. Those are all connections. And you had to explore. You had to explore either in person through observation. You explored online. You looked at the churches, the community centers. You looked at neighborhoods. You looked at the people. You went to data sets too. A lot of you use the Census Bureau, and that's exploratory skills and it's analytical skills. Okay. Decision making skills, making a call. And so you did that in that assignment as well because you had to understand what the key issues are and then make a decision on what are the main issues plaguing that community and set up a give back. Then talk about how you would give back once that decision is made, what the key issue is or the most key issues in that particular community. You're also talking about the key um, um, what are the decisions that you're going to make to give back that addresses those key needs for that particular um, um, community. And negotiation skills. Okay, now negotiation skills can be one-on-one with people, but negotiation skills is also how do I convey information? Negotiating which information are you going to keep? Which information is most important and is salient? Which information is not? That's a negotiation, and that's negotiation skills. So you also demonstrated that in the community assessment assignment when you're actually, gathering data on your observations and trying to figure out which information you're going to put in the PowerPoint because you only have a set amount of time, so you have to negotiate. And that's a hard skill, as many of you all saw with that assignment. You gathered a lot of information. All of it was rich. All of it is good, but it has to be condensed to present, and you have to negotiate that to determine that. Think about all the information you received from the key informant and the main ideas that you shared with that was a negotiation because you couldn't include everything the informant said. Think about the data, the rich data, and how you chose to present it. What strategic approach did you take? Again, was a negotiation skill to present your information. And again, lastly, also deciding which give back opportunities you're going to use that really speaks to those needs in the community. So those, again, that assignment also helps you with brokering skills as well. Case managers are involved in locating services and assisting their clients to access those services. Case management is especially important for complex situations and for those who are homeless or elderly, have chronic physical or mental health issues, or are disabled, victims of domestic or other violent crimes, or are vulnerable children. So think of, again, vulnerable populations. Case management overall is a process to seek, advocate for, and monitor services from different social services or healthcare organizations and staff on behalf of a client. In summary, And it enables social workers in an organization or in different organizations to coordinate their efforts to serve a given client through professional teamwork, thus expanding the range of needed services offered. Management also addresses problems with service fragmentation, staff turnovers, and inadequate coordination among providers. Case management also occurs within a single large organization or within a community program that coordinates services. Some of the areas that you will see social workers conducting case management services include aging and older adults, behavioral health or mental health, child welfare, corrections, or criminal justice, disabilities, long term care, education. Um, Areas that being school, higher education, colleges, universities, you see case management services there, employee assistance program and healthcare, housing, immigration, and veteran services. That's a typo there. But again, please be mindful that plenty of service areas that requires comprehensive work with individuals and particularly vulnerable individuals will use case management services. Healthcare services are a very strong area in which you will see case management services, but not the only one. Again, this picture here identifies some of the areas that case management serves, and some of them was discussed in the prior slide. We talked about children's services such as child welfare, such as family reunification and planning. You see case management services very heavily in public benefits. That's helping people get Medicaid services, helping people get SNAP benefits, legal support, permanent housing, food, clothing, your individual counseling services oftentimes use case management services, interpretation services, substance use services as well. Um, Sometimes the role or the title of a case manager differs, but I want to make sure you're aware that regardless of the actual title given, once you have an idea of what case management services entails, you'll know that that's the role that's being presented. And so even though many people may be case managers, social workers largely make up a good bit of case management services. And even if your official title isn't case manager, there are very few um, um, titles or roles that social workers possess where they won't provide some type of case management services. But other titles you may hear are service coordinators, management or care managers, care coordinators or care coordination, client navigators, client navigation, patient navigation or patient navigators, and again, healthcare navigators. These are different titles that are known for case management services. But again, regardless of the title, the roles and the duties that were discussed in this PowerPoint constitutes case management. Again, talking about some more of the skills that you need to be a case manager or some of the skills that case managers use every day. Um, Communication skills, time management key. I will refer to the community assessment paper. Assignment, excuse me, community assessment assignment. Um, a lot of feedback that I provided to many students is being mindful of time. Not just, again, to be a stickler for an assignment. This is a skill that I'm trying to help you enhance. Staying within time management is key. You wish sometimes you have plenty of time to do everything you do not. And you're held to a standard of proficiency and quality in limited time. The more time that you have, of course, you could do a great job, but can you do a great job in limited time? That is the demands of the work world. And if you're giving a professional presentation at a conference, for example, you have to be respectful of other presenters behind you. And so if they say you have 10 or 15 minutes to present on a topic matter, you have to stay within that time frame because everyone is given that time. And the session is only a certain period of time, so you can't go over. And so again, really pushing you all to be mindful of reading instructions, understanding what is involved and being able to apply that concisely, perfectly, if you will. Can't go over time. And so again, time management is a skill that case managers need to develop, social workers too. And hopefully we're trying to work with you on that in this program as well. Decision making and problem solving, talked about that. You've had other problem solving assignments here in this course, where you're talking about applying the problem solving process in different forms, either in the discussion boards or in written assignments, as well as in your agency paper and other type of uh, assignments that you've had for this particular course, and one assignment specifically where you're comparing the problem solving process that's outlined in your readings as opposed to in your agency. Organizational skills, conflict resolution skills, teamwork and collaboration, again, commitment, teaching, and being culturally sensitive. And we talked about that as well during this course, the importance of cultural competency and how to demonstrate that. This is the National Association of Social Workers Standard for Social Work Case Management. The hard copy of this PowerPoint is on Blackboard for you. Please click on that; it will come up. Some of the information gathered for this particular PowerPoint presentation was derived from the standards for social work case management. It's always good to have standards of practice. And the NASW is very good about disseminating standards of practice for social workers. And in each different areas that we need to be proficient in. So we also have a standards for social work case management. Please click on this link in the hard copy of the PowerPoint, and you will be able to see all the areas discussed and the standards and the values of social work applied to case management services. So what does it look like on the micro level? Advocacy, a social worker advocating for a family to be able to stay in a single room at the Salvation Army. A brokerage, a social worker letting a client who is pregnant know about WIC. Case management, a social worker helping a client who is a domestic violence survivor by getting her a room within the shelter, helping her create a protection order, or helping her obtain a protection from abuse order, and connecting her to more resources within the community. Mesolevel advocacy, a social worker advocating for children in a Santoni group home until they turn 18 to be allowed to stay until they're 21 if they gain employment. A brokerage, a social worker letting an elementary school parent teacher board know about a mentoring program to help. Case management, a social worker working with a school with various parent and students through creating programming, connecting them to local psychiatrists, learning specialists, and other needed resources. Macro levels, social work, advocacy, a social worker reaching out to representatives and senators, working to get a bill passed to create more effective safety net programs. Brokerage, connecting various resources together, such as WIC and the local domestic violence shelters. Case management, working as a consultant for multi nonprofits and helping them find and use fundraising materials, organizational programming, and other developmental tools. It should be mentioned here that case managers can find themselves in plenty of areas. I just highlighted a few with this presentation, but also it ranges from nonprofit to profit work. So you may see case managers in the for-profit world and the nonprofit world as well. As we are dealing in a pandemic, we haven't focused too much in this course about that, but it is important to mention that as we're going through the public health pandemic of COVID-19 and the pandemic of racism, advocacy, brokering, case management services are so heavily needed during these times. So one examples of how that will look is advocacy, advocating for more testing centers closer to vulnerable populations such as neighborhoods with high population of elderly African Americans or low income citizens. Brokerage services, um, helping with awareness with community members about local testing centers. So think about venues that help improve awareness to community members. Case management oversees cases of people who lost their jobs due to COVID-19, help them search for jobs, assist them with applying for unemployment, and connecting them to other needed resources. And before I close out this presentation, I also want to make you aware of case management certification. Some social workers and other professionals get certified. It's something a good thing to have on your resume. Some people believe it will help you become more competitive in the job market by having a special certification for case management. This link in the hard copy of the PowerPoint will help you see what are the criteria, the cost to be certified as a case management a social work case management certification, and that will be the acronym that you would use behind your name to show that you had this certification. Again, for some people, they feel that it makes them more attractive to say that they've been through a specialized training and education to be certified as a social work case manager. Once you're certified, it requires maintenance of that certification and continuing education. But please be mindful that there is a case management certification that you may be interested in. And if you click this link in the hard copy, it'll take you and give you more information on that. I hope you found that this brief overview of case management, brokering, and advocacy skills are helpful. Thanks. Oh, as a reminder, please don't forget to make sure that you do read the corresponding chapters in detail. This is just a brief overview of quite a few chapters that is covering case management, advocacy, and brokerage services. Thanks.